Are we live? Are we live?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
I have no idea. If anybody in the chat can hear me, please acknowledge and let us know.
Yep, we're live.
Yep. All right. Well, Keith, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our impromptu Halloween horror Titterpigs live stream.
Yeah.
We have Pookie hanging out with us today, and we have another special guest who is about ready to make appearance on camera. Scott, would you like to introduce our fourth and final guest?
Sure. So we, it's the season of costumes, and what better costume to represent Titterpigs than our new friend and co-host, Titterpig. Everyone give a round of applause for Titterpig.
What can I say?
Okay, we're done with the shtick.
Yes. So thank you all who are in the chat. I do appreciate it. I'm still trying to monitor things here, so give me a second as I go back and
we're great with the technical stuff.
Figure this out here. So okay. Okay, yeah, there we go. I'm going into the control room. There we are. I'm just gonna
look
say,
at that. He's like tech savvy and shit.
Hello, yes, I do play. So yeah, we've got a few people in the chat. Hello, Dragon Girl 74, Debbie. Hey. James is here. We've got Anthony Lee Dudley popping in. Welcome. And then we have we may have Dirk. The dice from the Grognard Files popping in. Hello, everybody. So, hi. There's no context to this. Keith and I just decided last minute to do a bit of just a live stream for fun. On All Hallows Eve. Some of you have already celebrated Halloween over in the UK, and others are still awaiting, their time to go out to trick and or treat. And we just thought we'd pop on and just do something fun. As to be perfectly honest, it's a little bit of filler because we're in the process of rescheduling to get Ken Hite back on here. So hopefully within the next week or so. But we didn't want to do it too soon, as Gummy Mick Rotten Tooth over here, my co-host.
That would be this little fat kid. That's right.
Yep, he's recovering from surgery. So the one thing he said, so please in the chat, I take this as a dare. He said Keith will last as long as he doesn't have to laugh too much. Let's what better way to enjoy a Halloween evening than to cause someone else terror and horrible pain at the expense of humor.
So, I love all of you. I do. I love you all.
Yes.
So the first thing I have to say is that I'm a terrible substitute for Ken Hite.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, you're not. Although I would dare say one of the main reasons that we have Pookie on here is you are a living repository of games and game knowledge. But I would probably say that's where you and Ken may come to into the ring and duke that one out, because he seems to be one who is just full of it. That came out wrong. Full of knowledge about games and the gaming world. Yeah.
Goes to Scott.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
And I see Matt. Oh. Matt is in the chat.
Yes, he is.
Matt, did James's game cancel by chance, or did because I see you're in the chat and not currently playing Pathfinder. So we originally extended.
I guess this is the better choice than Pathfinder. Oh, did I go there?
No. Oh. So we did extend an invite to Matt. Matt, if you're interested to pop in for the chat at some point, we'll send you a link, because we were looking to have a fourth person on here as a juxtaposition between Keith and I's banter and Pookie's sense of humor. Anywho, where do we begin? It's Halloween. Some of us have, Keith and I have older children, and some, those of you over in the UK, if you have younger children, they may have already concluded with their Halloween event, but some of you may have games this evening coming up. So we were going to talk about some Halloween themed games, some horror games, some aspects of horror, and whatever comes up in the chat. So Keith, why don't you and Pookie, join in together, and I'm going to take a look at the chat and also see if we might send a little invite out to Matt here if he wants to pop in and have some comments. Because Matt, one more thing before you continue, Matt is one of those crazy people whose favorite holiday out of all of them is Halloween. His front yard is a temple.
Oh my God, is it? I've seen the pictures on the Book of Faces.
Yes. So
it's horrifically awesome.
Go ahead and take it away while I take care of a few things.
Wow. Okay. So Halloween, I mean, as far as like the holiday, I mean, I have, Scott said I have older kids, so they don't trick or treat, but I will at some point this evening, because it's only a little after 3 p.m. my time. I will see my 11-year-old granddaughter. She'll stop by at some point. So that's my bit of Halloween. But unfortunately, I don't have a game tonight. My gaming is a little slow right now because of my mouth with that dental surgery. I'm good for about an hour and a half, and then I'm done. I check out. It hurts too bad. Did try to run a game yesterday though. I did try to run Carnival of Madness. I got about halfway through it. So for Call of Cthulhu. And then my mouth said, nope, you're done. So what do you got going on tonight, Pookie?
Well, I'm on here. It's pretty quiet as far as Halloween goes. Had one knock at the door. But it's not a heavily celebrated holiday here in the UK. It's not even really counted as a holiday. And I mean, growing up, I've never celebrated it as sort of like in the terms of trick or treating because we didn't know about it. But tonight, what did I do? I posted the last two, or the latest of my Miskatonic Monday reviews. So I've now done 150 of them.
So you've read 150 Call of Cthulhu scenarios from independent publishers.
Yeah, from the Miskatonic repository.
I don't know whether to congratulate you or say I'm sorry. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, because that's just a lot of reading, and and I know you read like a machine. You are an absolute robot, but that's just a lot of Call of Cthulhu over the span of what you've been doing it, 2 years now for those?
No, 5 years. Because
Jesus.
The repository is 2018?
Yeah, I think so. Late 18.
So it's a lot. And I mean, I've read a lot of Call of Cthulhu in the past anyway, because, I would probably suggest I've read not quite everything that's been published for it, but getting there.
Nice. Wow, we have Matt. Hi, Matt. Yeah. Poof, he appears.
Wow, the sound worked. We can hear you. The video. Wow, I may be getting a hang of this streaming nonsense. We'll see.
Possibly.
I don't know yet. The jury's still out.
So real quick, just want to introduce Matt here. This is Matt, Crafty Matt, and on Twitter. And he is, you can follow him on @CraftyMatt on Twitter. I think I just said that. But so welcome to the chat and bring some insight into, the Halloween aspect. And at a certain moment, we want to talk about, your particular celebration of Halloween, because I think you do it different than most of us. I think Halloween almost seems like your Christmas.
It is.
Yeah.
So
you're a Halloween Griswold. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Working on it. Yes.
Nice. Scott's got competition.
Yeah, we talk about.
No, Scott doesn't have any competition. So, I mean, one look at my house, and I honestly don't understand why our house isn't on more Facebooks and stuff like that. It's
nice.
Well, we'll put some links. I'll see if I can find it. May put a link in the chat or in the description after the podcast is over, so you can revel in what it is. And again, I'm going to have to apologize for a moment. As stated earlier, my father just arrived. I'm going to disappear for just a second, so carry on the conversation, please. And when we get back in, we'll see how I can join in the conversation now that everything's all settled. So I will be right back.
All right. So speaking of Halloween decorations and Matt Griswolding out at the wrong holiday, but that's just, I don't know. It's now the phrase. You got. Obviously, you have pumpkins, right?
2.
Okay. Do you have turnips?
No, nothing like that. So it's all pirates all the time.
All pirates, okay. See, that's pirates for the win. I'm telling you.
So you're saying, have you got pirate pumpkins?
No pirate. So once you can find some photos, I don't have any now, but we've got a ship in the front yard. We've got a guy hoisting a black. My wife made a Blackbeard, and we went on to various websites. We actually found Blackbeard's historic flag, so we have that there as well. We've got a Billy Bones. We've got a pirate in a stockade. We've got one lounging in. They're all skeletons, by the way. We've got one lounging in a hammock. Various ones that are being eaten. We've got a guy in little tiny boxes, kind of floating in the ocean while he's got piranhas around him, skeleton piranhas. We've got mermaid skeletons. Nice.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was going to say, I mean, for me personally, sort of Halloween is actually better described as goth Christmas.
Yeah, well, I mean that sounds about right. So I may not look like it now, but I'm certainly I'm an old goth. So
well, my partner is a goth, and she's actually away in Whitby at sort of like at the twice a year event there, for, basically the Goth Fest.
Mm-hmm.
So she does that twice a year, and I typically spend Halloween on my own, looking after the cats.
Nice. Nice. I have it up on my screen. I would share a screen, but Scott would have to do it from the control side.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Otherwise, it'd just be like just this little square or rectangle of me sharing the screen.
Yeah, my wife is she's like fast and furious texting me pictures right now of everything.
Oh, nice. Nice. So in the chat, James James says none of us are wearing costumes, so our Halloween game is suspect. Yeah, well,
I'm dressed up as Steve, so James
I'm
can just step
dressed up as Kevin.
I've come as a games
dressed
reviewer.
up as Bob.
There we go.
And I have Titterpigs, so we're good.
There we go, Titterpig. So did I happen to miss anything? Apologies. Now things have settled down.
No,
so I
we were discussing Matt's front yard decorations and his all things pirates for Halloween.
And you missed goth Christmas.
Oh yeah. That's something that may work. I don't know. Well, we'll see about that. So I guess let's kind of roll into at least the gaming aspect for now. And if anyone has any questions, just jump in because Keith stated this has an AMA. So if everyone in the chat right now seems to be close friends, so they deeply know about us more than they want to.
Yeah, probably.
Others may not. But so how about we start with this? What someone comes to you and they say, I want to run a game for Halloween. What would be your recommendation then for tonight? We'll start with Pookie.
I'm going to go with something actually quite recent.
Okay.
I'm going to go with a title from the Miskatonic repository.
Okay,
which is Trick or Treat 2. It's a sequel to the Trick or Treat scenario from Blood Brothers. And it does the whole thing of kids in peril on Halloween setup, which we've come to be familiar with over the past few years. And instead of doing it in a haunted house, it does it on a haunted farm. So it does all the classic kind of farm rural sort of like Halloween motifs of the pumpkins, the scarecrow, the corn, and all the dangers of the farm in the dark. And it's got lots of flavor and detail and history, and just everything there you need if you've got the Call of Cthulhu rulebook, and you could run it straight.
I do have one question on that scenario though.
Sure.
Is there pumpkin chunkin in it?
Pumpkins play a big role. I don't know about not pumpkin chunkin.
That's far better than pumpkin blumpkin.
Come on, man. Pumpkin hurling is a thing. Haven't you seen like TV? I years ago?
I got to ask real quick. Keith, do you know what a blumpkin is? Look it up after the show. Matt
can
Is
does.
this a
explain it to
California
him.
thing? I know what bumpkins are.
No, no,
It
no.
may be a California thing. So imagine,
Mhm.
right, that you're making a movement while you're getting a special kind of service.
Yeah. Well, that's horrifically timed.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
And it just happens to rhyme with pumpkin, so it's the perfect thing to bring up during this time of year. We are an adult podcast here, so if there's children watching or listening, please
You guys got to stop making
hop
me
on
laugh.
Google and look up what a blumpkin is and show your parents.
Yeah,
Oh my God! Please
that's
don't.
definitely one hell of a blowout.
Oh,
So
Yes.
I threw a link to it. I'm going to try to throw links into the chat for any suggestions that we have, and if we don't have anything, then we'll locate it and put it in the description later. So yeah, Call of Cthulhu is definitely a go-to game for this time of year. Obviously with it being a horror game. But what about you, Matt? Do you have any recommendations that you might throw out to anyone for this time of year?
So, I did play in a recent Call of Cthulhu game. So, Call of Cthulhu is going to be the game to play.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a big sci-fi horror nerd. So, Alien is great, especially the cinematic scenarios. But then also Death in Space. I haven't played Mothership yet, but Death in Space is also really great for horror and decay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are. I think we've all played Mothership at least once, and it always turns into just a chaotic mess. Aliens is a wonderful game, and has aspects of going south, but the churning drain of horror and insanity seems to go a lot quicker in Mothership than it does in Aliens sometimes, I would say.
Yeah, there's just something special about Mothership.
Yeah. What about you, Keith? Sorry, go ahead, Matt. Continue, please.
The only issue with playing Call of Cthulhu is, as much as probably all of us have, is we trust nothing. In the game that recently played, we played 4 mobsters that were tasked with going to a farm to ask for rent, not so nicely, and the hippies that were living there, they all wanted us to partake in various different herbs and spices. Most of us refused except for one guy, and well, he exploded into a fungus man.
Oh,
that does happen from time to time. You got to watch out.
Because the
You're from
earth
New
mother,
England, you should know.
yeah, and I'm like, there's no way I'm taking that stuff. I'm not eating anything that you provide. I'm not smoking anything. I'm not drinking anything, because I played Call of Cthulhu before, and I know my character is going to die.
Right. Oh man, yeah. There's that difficult meta aspect, in horror games. If you go into knowing it's a horror game, it's hard to kind of separate, player knowledge, character knowledge, somewhat. Of course, if you're going to be somewhat suspicious with your player character, but your personal, your personal knowledge of, just going, yeah, shit's going to go south no matter what. You now have a fungus, person in the mafia, so that'll make a good, ragu later.
It wouldn't, because he exploded into the fungus man while we were all in the car and he was driving.
Oh no, that's bad.
Yeah,
that's bad.
It didn't work out too well, but we did burn the farm to the ground before that happened.
Oh,
So what?
At least the fungus army is not going to take over.
What was that, Pookie?
So you're saying he went from maid guy to fungi?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my God. You know what?
yeah.
That's Titterpig approved. Okay. Okay. So my recommendation.
Okay.
Maybe combat some of what Matt said.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of meta. I know what's going to happen, so I'm not going to do it thing. 10 Candles.
Okay.
So I don't know whoever's familiar with it, but I love 10 Candles. It is a fully immersive narrative game where everybody has to basically take ownership as a game master at some point and contribute to the story. So the story does this. It weaves and wobbles and twists and turns. And, the preconceived notions you can go into, Call of Cthulhu with, like, I'm not going to touch anything because I know it's going to kill me or hurt me or warp me. You don't know what's going to happen in 10 Candles because whenever you get to those decision points and you need to roll dice, the dice may work for you or may not work for you. So it just amps up the stress, kind of like Dread does. Like when you're pulling blocks, it amps up the stress as the candles go out. I just love it. I think it's a great game. Highly recommended. So
do you have a particular?
Scott?
I was just going to ask, so on 10 Candles, do you have a particular scenario that you like to run with that, or?
There is one that's in the book that is about being on a ship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like a doomed ship out on the ocean. And every time we play it, and I use that as kind of the framework to go with, somehow we end up on like an oil derrick or some really weird thing, and everything keeps going south and sideways every time you look. So but there's a number of them. I think there's like 10 of them in the book that you can choose as the framework, and they give you some rails on which to play in, and then you go from there.
Right.
So
okay. Well,
unfortunately, you're not going to find that at drive-through. You have to go to the publisher's website to find a link for that.
Right.
I'll go find it.
Yeah, Dread is, it's one of those games that is a bit to find. I mean, you can order it, of course, but you do see it in the wild every once in a while. But for the most part, it's just, if you have to be at a decent game store, to carry what would be considered like independent RPGs, and you don't really see it in the usual stack of, the top 5 or 6 that they have. But it's rare. You'll see it. So for me, it's going to be a tried and true classic that I'm still surprised that not a lot of people who are fans, and it's another Call of Cthulhu game, but not a lot of people who are fans of it still haven't heard of it. When there's always the suggestions, I want to run a Call of Cthulhu game for Halloween. I don't want something that's overly long or something that's going to take forever. And it's going to be the Dare. I mean, I know most everyone here knows about the Dare, and probably in the chat, but every once in a while you'll be on the YouTube, or not YouTube, sorry, one of the Facebook groups, or you'll see it on Twitter, and then you'll be, oh my God, this is perfect. It's role playing games. You're playing a group of kids who are dared by a local bully to go spend the night in a in a supposed haunted house, and Cthulhu-esque things occur within, but they've changed the rule set, to be, more inclined towards, young kids playing. It's a scaled down version of it with a little couple twists here or there. And it allows, what are considered to be adults, but none of us are, to kind of go back, into the primal state of being a kid and experience the Cthulhu mythos and attack it as kids would. It's a great game and a lot of fun. It's a couple minor things with it and whatnot that you can't work out with a little prep, or if you've run it, a couple times. But it is, I think it's one of because it's themed. It's Halloween themed. It's not just let's play a horror game. This one is themed for Halloween. It's designed to be enjoyed and run on Halloween, but it can be run anytime. But yeah, the Dare. I mean, that's a fantastic one. Let me.
And my photo is in the back, or my picture is in the back as one of the backers as kids.
You're in there.
Yeah, one of the you could opt to have your photo in the book as basically to use as one.
Yeah, he's in the yearbook section in the back.
Yep.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah.
I think we'll have to we'll see if we can find that at a later date and see if we can pick out which one's Pookie.
You'll have fun with it, because even I'm not sure which one is me.
I mean, it's nice, but it's not as good as certain other books that are very kind enough to have people who didn't even contribute to the book. As
sorry,
sorry,
Anthony wins the "Don't Make Keith Laugh" contest.
But
so he says in chat, I'm considering My Little Pony stroke adult cosplay crossover this year called My Little Furry with Mrs. Twinkle Piss and Princess Sparkle Butt. Sorry. So for those, if you haven't listened to the latest episode of the podcast, those were names that had come up out of Scott's mouth, in fact.
Yeah, I can only hope if he's going to go trick or treating with those, he's doing in the comfort of his own bedroom, not taking it outside. Nobody wants to see it.
Rainbow tail and all.
Rainbow tail and all, yeah. I mean,
that hurt.
Actually, it's more just rainbow tail, rainbow tail, and nothing more.
No,
yeah.
You got to put on the little like hooves, right?
Yeah,
maybe the ears.
Yeah,
and then just
okay. This is getting scary.
Hey,
we don't know where the tail's going to be attached, but
no.
What
there
happens?
Are ways.
What happens in Shaftesbury, Pookie? Oh my. So,
what can I say? I know Shaftesbury of old. I went to school there.
I'm just, for the record, and I don't care if Anthony hears this, I'm gonna get even with him when I'm a player in his Call of Cthulhu game this coming weekend. At the weekend of the good friends of Jackson Elias. I got into his game, so I'm coming for you, buddy. Wow.
So yeah, I mean, so we've all made recommendations here. Other than Alien and Mothership, we've all kind of, we've done the Call of Cthulhu recommendation. We did the Tin Candles thing. But do you have any other recommendations for horror games? I mean, we don't necessarily need a particular scenario, but what's another game that you think that you might, would suggest for someone to run? If they're looking to Cult. Okay, so.
I would throw Cult.
Cult.
Yeah. Oh, you don't have the good cover. You don't have the good version.
What are you talking about? This is oh, you have the Mrs. Twinkle Pissy Pants cover? What do you mean? That's the same cover.
Do you have the good cover or the retail cover?
Is there a difference?
Oh, yes.
They look identical.
Can you see nipples?
I mean, in my imagination.
Then if you don't see nipples, you have the retail cover. You need to get this version.
So pay another $60 for nipples. So Matt, so Cult, are you able to provide a bit of a description of what Cult might be for those who may not be aware?
Has anybody ever seen the latest Hellraiser? I mean, that's really the closest thing that I can, I guess, associate it with. Where Call of Cthulhu is all about like the mythos and eldritch horror and outer space horror. It seems like Cult is more body horror, inner horror, and psychological horror. We kind of live in between the world of reality and whatever I guess what the real world looks like. For example, a politician, right? A politician may be up on stage speaking, but in reality, he looks like this demonic demon that may be eating babies and stuff like that. It's just this, instead of kissing babies, he's eating them. It's just this really nasty, psychological horror that if you happen to trip into this world, kind of like Hellraiser, then, you have these angels and demons, we have such sights to show you.
Yeah. Scott, I would refer you to page 322, upper left corner, since I know you're flipping through your book.
This is a book that you don't necessarily want to keep out when company is coming over.
No, you do not. The artwork in it, if you like this style of art, and I'll just show the cover again. The artwork is fantastic throughout. There are two versions of the book. The version I have is the Kickstarter version, which I got secondhand. It is very graphic. The retail version is neutered and tamed. So I still wouldn't leave that one out.
Yeah.
No. So I also have the Bible Black version as well.
Oh,
is that on the like the onion skin paper too.
It is, yeah. It's here. 1 sec, I'll be right back.
Okay.
So while he's looking for that, Scott, did you look at page 322?
I did. Yeah.
Is it very gender neutral looking?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, mine's not.
Oh, okay. So I may need to see about getting the Kickstarter version. But
yeah,
while we're waiting for Matt, we have a question. We have a question from Dirk from the Grognard Files for Pookie,
oh yeah, we do.
Which is relatable. Pookie, what are the vintage horror games that may have disappeared? Weston Games' Tales from the Crypt?
Yeah, Tales from the Crypt and also Necroscope are really the two West End Games horror role-playing games.
Okay.
Tales from the Crypt based upon the sort of like the comic and the TV series and the movie. Really sort of like doing the kind of I don't know, the modular kind of I say the episodic kind of horror. Necroscope is based upon the Brian Lumley vampire stories. But you also think about something like it came from the Late Show. There's 3 volumes of there doing kind of movie horror, kind of pulp horror movie scenarios. But there's lots of little horror games that have come and gone over the years. Those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. But almost every publisher has sort of done one.
Right.
But I mean, you think if you go back and think about it, Call of Cthulhu, which we've referred to, was still the first horror role-playing game.
Okay, yeah. Nothing preceded it. I mean, I mean, just going back through my minimal amount of knowledge of it, you really can't. I can't recall anyone that that would be worth mentioning. And you can bring up the history of it all, but yeah, Call of Cthulhu was primarily focused. It wasn't like a horror adventure or some sort of side thing that kind of was a supplement for a particular game, but it was all. This was
when was
the
Chill
whole package.
published?
Would have been
was that mid 80s?
83, 84, something like that.
Let's see. Chill was published 1984.
Okay. So 2 years later.
Yeah. So, but okay. So Matt, you have the special edition Black Bible book to show off there, and
right.
this is go ahead.
It's real tiny. There's no real artwork in it. It's just I was showing some of the chapter pages, and then the actual pages are super thin. Like if you were to hold it up to the light, you could see the text on the other side.
So very much like a King James Bible or something. Is it that thin?
Right, and then it's got this gold leafing here, and then it's textured, and then there's also three ribbons.
Nice.
So, but there's no art throughout the book. It's just the rules.
But how is it on the eyes though? Being a digest sized book.
Oh, it's very very easy to read. So
okay.
It's in reverse, but you get the idea.
Sure.
I kind of like that because I've gone through the Cult book and it's a monster with all the beautiful artwork and everything but there's a lot of exposition that also goes on throughout the book that would be kind of nice to cut through the fat to get to some of the rules and whatnot easier. But I'm sure that Black Bible edition is not cheap. It's not like a reference guide.
No.
You can just get
and then it's got gold on
nice.
the edge of the pages too.
Ooh.
So yeah, exactly like a King James, only not. You don't want your grandma finding this.
Yeah.
She's all.
I mean, I have a couple of Cult books. I have the core book and 2 supplements, but I don't have the Bible version. But now having seen it, I want to get it because you could kind of leave that one out for the in-laws to look at.
Well, and kind of like a King James version, there is black text and then highlighted in red text.
Oh.
Oh.
Just draw those eyes right to a wonderful moment. Yeah,
interesting. Right. Okay, that's interesting.
So I think I mean if I could borrow it for a day, I'll leave it out during Christmas and just kind of see what happens.
I mean, do you want to borrow my Kickstarter version and leave it out during Christmas?
Oh, I want to borrow it, but not to leave it out.
Oh.
Haha. Yeah.
No, that one's going to be slipped under the hamper when it's not in use.
That's horrific. I'm sorry. That's horrific.
So, all right. I think you were asking me about mine. So
Yeah.
So we, I've got some stacks here that I pull from my library, and I'm kind of, there's several here, but so we're going to start with an oldie but goodie. It's called Beyond the Supernatural by. Wait, hold on. I didn't mean to grab that one.
Sorry, is that a Palladium game?
It is.
It is. Yes.
Is there an index?
Is there an index?
No, there's no index.
What is this index you are talking about? Because I only speak Palladium. There is a quick find reference table and a table of contents, but yeah, no.
So
no
quick story.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, a couple of colleagues of mine actually went to Palladium. Were invited in by Kevin Sabita, shown around, and also Sean as well.
Mm-hmm.
Shown the entire facility, like just, hey, come on in, and hey, how many books do you have on you? Yeah, bring them here. We'll sign them all. So basically, got signatures from everybody in the office. Was shown around the office. Was allowed to come in and kick it in Kevin's office. And the guy Kevin even asked one of my colleagues, hey, do you do any art? Do you do any writing? And my buddy's all, yeah, no, I do, but it's all terrible. He says, well, let me see it. So we started showing it. And Kevin's all, what are you talking about? This stuff is great. You should. I tell you what, if you ever want to talk to me, you ever want to come to me, I'll help you. So I know Pookie had a certain incident with Kevin, but every interaction that I've had on my buddy's podcast or my colleagues have had with him have been amazing. Yeah. And when I mentioned this British guy that showed up at Gen Con, no words were said, but you could see it in Kevin's face.
Honestly, I didn't actually meet Kevin when I was at Gen Con. It was with somebody who was working the stand.
Yeah,
right. So it was Sean.
Was it?
And yeah, and then Kevin heard about it.
Word got back to Kevin. Interesting.
Wow. I don't think I should meet him then, because it's going to be you.
Right.
No, but honestly though, if you ever did, he's that upper Midwestern. He's really an awesome guy, but he's very, I don't know how you could, he's about the most American that you're ever going to American.
Right.
So yeah.
And there's a bit of enigma that has grown around him over the years that, may or may not be valid, but that's true of, a lot of the larger names that have been around for so long, one of the things that got Ken Hite onto our podcast was I was making a subtle joke online to someone regarding something, and the comment I made was, be careful what you say, because Ken Hite will send you a strongly worded email about 85 pages long, because he likes to talk and obviously loves to write. And then he commented back and said, I don't get paid to do emails or something like that. I forget the thing, and of course, after I pulled my foot out of my mouth, we invited him onto the podcast, and he said, gladly. So score one for being a snarky a-hole. You never know. But obviously, I think it would. I don't think our comments about the index would get Kevin onto the podcast. No. So.
No,
but
I don't
tell you
so.
what, though,
yeah.
Going back to Beyond the Supernatural, a little bit of trivia is that is a prequel game to Rifts.
When did this come out? Let's see here. I don't even know if this is the first printing or not. Let's see here. This came out 1988.
And Matt, how do you know so much about Rifts?
Well, I mean, so
here it comes.
How much do I know? I'm kind of a Rifts fanboy. So in high school, ran a 4-year campaign as a my buddy ran us through. I was a dog boy. We were all 4 dog boys. Basically, the dirty dozen doing the jobs that regular humans wouldn't want to do. Taking care of all them DBs.
Gotcha. Yeah. Since you're a fanboy, we can't be friends anymore. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I'm
No,
just
I mean,
kidding.
honestly,
To be honest, I have never played a Rifts game in my life. I tried to make a character once, and that was a horrible experience.
It takes 3 hours.
Yeah, it was a horrible experience, and I never went back, and I'm okay with that.
But Rifts has that wonderful, and most Palladium games. I actually, so of course, before Dungeons and or after Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that, Robotech was really a game that I played with my buddy, but he wouldn't let me buy the Robotech books because if I bought them, then he says I wouldn't run you through them because he was, and we were in high school, but he was that horrible kind of dungeon master or game master, right? So I bought Rifts instead, and mostly because of the cover, okay. But what 13-year-old wouldn't, I mean, blind warrior women in thongs on the cover, absolutely, it's titillating, right? So and then I think I got up to World Book 14.
Ooh.
And then like movies like The Crow hit and The Craft and all of that kind of stuff. I told you I was hung out with goths and not so great people in high school, and I lost all of my role-playing stuff. It all went into the bin, all of it.
That's horrible.
I have very, very little left from high school other than my Redbox books and a couple other stuff. So,
well, the good news is Palladium is republishing all of their stuff. You can go to the game store in Fullerton and spend hundreds of dollars, and you too can go past World Book 14 or whatever it was and continue on into the Rifts.
But interesting thing about those world books is the one world book is not supposed to be used with another world book because there is completely contradicting information in, say, Rift's New West and Rift's Coalition book. Completely different statistics for the same OCC. It's insane.
There's somebody that's going to listen to this when we throw it onto the actual podcast, and they're going to be going, yes, Rifts!
So James is in chat talking about World of Darkness. Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
so,
that was another one.
So the second half of high school was all about World of Darkness, vampire, LARPs, and big titty goths.
Yeah. Yes. And buying your first pair of shoes that were called creepers. I don't know if they were called the same thing over in the UK, but these thick-soled leopard skin shoes that and rolling up your pants to expose your white socks. And it was good. It was a good look.
I just had my 20-hole docks.
Oh, there you go.
I still have them too.
There you go.
I still have.
I just had real combat boots. I mean, that's what I had.
So to bring it back in before we get to Pookie real quick, I'm just going to make my actual recommendation, and that would be giving Night's Black Agents a try. And that's not necessarily a recommendation to go out and buy the core book, but if you can get a hold of the there's the free RPG day one. It's a mixture of Night's Black Agents, a short adventure, and a 13th Age adventure, I believe. And the little short adventure is something that you can easily play within like about 2 hours, and just kind of give you a little bit of a thematic taste as to what Night's Black Agents could be. And it's definitely tailored for a Halloween evening game because you can get in, get out, have some fun with a small group of people, and then decide if you want to move forward with that. So that's kind of one of my that would be my game recommendation if you were looking for some other horror related game that's not Call of Cthulhu. So
okay,
but that was my segue of a joke for. Palladium, obviously went down a good sort of rabbit hole. So Pookie, you've been waiting in the wings for a little bit. What would be your game recommendation if someone was asking for a horror game recommendation for Halloween?
I really like your choice of Night's Black Agents. There's some great campaigns for it. The Persephone incident is really good. But I'm going to go with a couple from Eden Games. So the first of which is All Flesh Must Be Eaten, which is the original zombie game. And the thing is, we kind of think of there's zombies everywhere in horror these days. We kind of overrun with them because, of course, of The Walking Dead. But this you go back sort of 20 years, and this is the original zombie role-playing game. It's worth tracking down because, of course, it can do the zombie apocalypse if you want, really easily. It's what it's designed to do. Office workers, having to flee from work because because their city is overrun by zombies. But once you've got that, you take this, you can build almost any zombie game you want to go for. And the range of supplements for it are really good. So Zombie Smackdown, you want zombies and wrestlers. I mean, the thing is, I have no interest in wrestling whatsoever. None at all. But I play this because it's fun. And it's a really well done supplement, for you. I think essentially got a couple for you, Keith. So
bring it.
Fistful of zombies.
Oh no.
So Wild Western zombies, and then there'll be zombies.
Okay. I can dig that one. The Wild West one. I don't know.
And these are really good source books because essentially it gives you everything you want to create characters for that kind of setting. And then you've got several different mini settings in there, which are zombies. And of course, this is going to do like the Pirates of the Caribbean kind of stuff, but it's going to do other things as well because it's going to play around with the genres and give you examples. So these are all really good. And there's, you have martial arts, science fiction, World War II supplements. They're all out there if you can find them. And then the other Eden horror book, as I'm going to recommend, is this. This is the special edition. So it's actually, see if I've got a picture of it's the Buffy role-playing game, which, Buffy brought sort of like horror to our sort of like our TV screens and made it watchable for a mass audience. And really amped up what it was like to play a Scooby game. And again, great, nice little system, cinematic, engaging. You've got to create interesting characters, fighting vampires, getting the tone right. And it's also supported with sort of interesting sort of like setting material as well, that developed as the seasons went on.
Okay, so there's one Eden Studios game you didn't mention that I remember playing, and I remember it fondly, but I don't remember all the intricacies of the game, and I still have a digital copy of it, and I need to reread it. But what's your thoughts on what is it, CJ Carella's Witchcraft?
That it's not one I've looked at any detail, but it's really rich, and it's kind of really sort of like detailed. I mean, I think it's a really good one. But again, it's one of those ones that demand you to sort of like pull you into the setting and really get involved.
Yeah, like I said, I remember fond memories. I have fond memories of playing it, but God, that was 20 odd years ago.
Yeah.
So
I mean, all of those are sort of like you go back 20 years, and you've got this range of sort of like tiny little horror games sort of coming out that were kind of themed around two things: the millennium, and sort of like the post-apocalyptic effects of the millennium. So I'm actually going to go to a Palladium Games title first, which is Systems Failure.
Oh, right.
Okay, and that, apart from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that's my favorite Palladium game. Because
you've heard it here, Pookie actually has a Palladium game he likes.
I've never said I don't. Okay, no. I never said I don't like them. I just wish they were better.
Okay, that's fair.
And more accessible. Yeah, I like both of those. And then you're talking things like The End, which sort of like deal with the second coming.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
So going back 20 years, we had all those little rough sort of like games about the second coming. And oh no, it's the end of it's the end of the world as we know it. Surprisingly millenarian and Christian role playing games
for fun.
Yeah,
right?
pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I know that I believe there is specifically Left Behind RPG that was based on the movie. I could be wrong, but or it may have just been, a joke, kind of like the Samantha
Testament.
Fox. Okay.
Is it edited by Kirk Cameron?
Possibly, yeah.
But there was I think it was in the realm of the D20 gluttony of stuff. In the original OGL, it was called Testament, and it was very much fantasy, but it was very much built off of that religious mythos and dogma and all of it. And yeah, no, as James said, it sounds horrifying. Yes, it does sound horrifying.
I mean, I think the worst D20 one to come out of that would have been Engel. I don't know if anybody saw that.
What was it called?
Engel.
ENG.
German role-playing game that was adapted into English. I think basically by Art House or sort of like a White Wolf imprint. And it kind of went, let's do it in the D20 system, and didn't work because you were kind of underpowered because you're meant to be sort of like near angels in a world that is being, I can put it, basically being cut apart by a satanic wall of flame.
Why does that not surprise me? James likes Engel.
It is available in Drive-Thru RPG. The average rating, though, and now mind you, Drive-Thru RPGs are just about as reliable as word of mouth for the most part. It's out of 8 ratings, it only scores 3. But most people's complaints, like they tend to are never usually with the content. It's always the PDF isn't working, or there's an issue with one of the images, therefore your game sucks. 1 star. It seems to be well supported too, believe it or not. There's the core rulebook, which is currently on sale right now for anyone who's interested, and it's the PDF normally goes for $30, but it's on sale for $9. And along with some other books, some look like they may be in English, others look like they still may be in German, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pass. Thanks.
It's a lovely looking book. It does have it's one of those books where, yes, the text really is given room to breathe. There's a huge mass of white space and it looks lovely, but you know how people complain about there's too much white space.
So,
yeah.
Well, wow. Okay. So I think I've got most of those down as recommendations throughout some links in the chat. I know there's only a few people who are kind of hanging out and listening, which I appreciate it, but we'll put all of these links in the description.
You guys are the bestest fans in the world.
I know. I think James Droker is logged in twice, one under his name and one under his Puppet account. So thank you. Where's James's Pocket account? Tim Gray, whoever you are.
Yeah. That's a new sock puppet account for James. That's interesting.
All right.
Lee, we love you too, buddy.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, Keith, do you have anything to add to this? Anything specific?
God, I mean, horror. I mean, the horror genre is just massive, right?
Yeah.
As a tunnel. I mean, you can fire hose people with recommendations all day long. So, okay. I was waiting for that. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Matt, let's talk Vazen.
Yeah.
So, if you want Grimm's fairy tales, because a lot of the horror that we've been talking about is, of course, body horror, zombie horror, but I mean, honestly, the original horror is Grimm's fairy tales. The stuff that we told our kids to scare them into acting correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't break into other people's houses or the bear will eat you.
Yeah. Or the little gremlins who live in the cupboard will come out and cut you into pieces and
right. Exactly.
Steal your soul.
Right. So don't wake up early on Christmas or the elf on a shelf will slit your throat. Stuff like that. Yeah.
I prefer the mensch on a bench, but
but honestly, and this is going to kind of be an oddball recommendation, but I love campy movies. I love pulpy movies. So I'm going to have to go with Hollow Earth Expedition.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. Now, Hollow Earth Expedition, of course, takes place right around that whole World War II, dealing with like the lizard people and stuff like that. But you could really make like a really good Indiana Jones style adventure, but bend it towards horror, or even like The Mummy or Frankenstein's monster kind of movie. But instead of the existential horror of creating a being, you're punching it in the face. That's the kind of stuff that I like, and that's the kind of horror that I like. Give me like Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness over Friday the 13th as an example.
Yeah, and there is an Army of Darkness role-playing game from Eden as well.
Oh yeah, okay.
Wow, interesting. So, I mean, Eden's has quite the library, it seems, of licensed stuff. I'm not as familiar with it. I'm aware of the Army of Darkness stuff, but how is the Army of Darkness game, though, Pookie? Have you had a chance to review that? Because
a long time ago. It's not. I don't think it's as good as the other. I don't think it's as good as Buffy or Angel. In part because essentially, when it comes to Army of Darkness, all the authors really have to draw from is the trio of movies.
Right.
So it means there's like a paucity of information to really draw from. Whereas with Buffy, you've got more characters, more background. You almost got a Bible to the setting. And then you've got 7 series of 42. I mean 7 times 22 episodes to draw from.
That's a lot. That's a lot of source material.
Well, here
an Army of Darkness doesn't have that, unfortunately.
Here's a little Titterpigs trivia for you. Guess how many episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer I've seen?
None.
That's higher.
Okay, 2.
No, it's less.
Oh, fine.
It's a shock to a lot of people. Not that I never wanted to watch it. I just don't know where I was at that time, a different mindset or a different different entertaining thing. But it's just one of those explosive media situations, kind of like Friends. I've seen maybe 2 Friends episodes too. That just people just go, "What do you mean?"
I was watching X-Files back then.
Yeah. So, but now, Matt, I got a question for you regarding Hollow Earth Expedition. Do you now have you had a chance to spend some time with the Ubiquity system? And if so, do you like that system?
I do.
Okay.
I've spent solo time with it. So like really good like bathroom reading time, and then also rolling Ubiquity dice and basically running through solo games. I like it, but then again, I like any skill-based or dice pool system. So I prefer dice pools over say D20 or percentage based.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm an idiot. I don't know. So every time I sit there and say that I like dice pool systems, everybody looks at me like I'm stupid. Like, what are you talking about? You can't do basic math? Well, I can, but why?
Hear a bit of Ubiquity trivia.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. The current format for GM screens with the really sturdy cardboard came about because of the publisher wanted to do a screen for Hollow Earth Expedition and went to their sort of printer and said, can you do this? And they sort of like, yeah, sure. And they came back and said, essentially what they had done is they'd taken 2 covers for Hollow Earth Expedition and put those together as the screens.
Oh.
That became the kind of model that the industry's kind of been using ever since. Before that, screens are really kind of light card, not
Right.
the kind of sturdy covers we get on books now.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically, the GM screen is the one thing that I couldn't find. So I just had to have professionally printed and put in one of those plastic screens.
Yeah.
Like,
Those
Oh,
are
the
nice.
world, like the world's greatest screen. You know,
Yeah, something like that.
panel
Right. So
thing.
I've got the inserts, but if you go on to eBay or other third party sources, it
Mhm.
seems like the GM screen is going for an outrageous amount of money, and I'm not willing to spend that.
No, not for a GM screen.
All those, but that whole line of books, for the most part, gets expensive. Like if you want to find, because I'm trying to get a second edition copy of Hollow Earth, right?
Mhm.
And it's not generally cheap to find. It's not like outrageously expensive, but it's not fairly priced either.
Right.
Now, when you say
go ahead.
the second edition, you're talking the it's the soft cover, right?
No, there's a hardcover version of it too.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I believe there's a softcover digest size
Yeah, that
version of it, of the second.
right. So I wonder what version I have.
Show your cover again. I think that's the second.
yeah, I mean,
Oh,
The
it is?
first is a
Okay.
little bit different, I believe.
Right. So Dirk made a good recommendation, which I have to agree with. Outside of your standard horror game, there's a lot of, role-playing game systems out there that do dive into the horror aspect. And his recommendation was Dragon Warriors. And there are a lot of creepy scenarios designed around Dragon Warriors and its mechanic. Wait, why do I need to bite you, Dirk? Or am I missing something in the conversation? He just popped on while I was talking, saying "bite me." Okay, but I missed the context on that. But yeah. So I mean, yeah, there are a lot of there's some classic scary scenarios for Dungeon Crawl Classics. Every year they come out with one or two of their horror scenarios, and some of them are okay, some of them are superb. I'm not gonna recall the name of it, but it's like Creep, Crawl, Scrag or something like that takes place entirely on a ship. I was able to play in that in an online con a while ago and had an absolute blast with that game. Watch Buffy. Okay, I'll watch. I mean, it's one of those where I now, mind you, the first episode I did try to watch, and it's this is after the fact, and it's extremely dated and hard to watch the aesthetic. But maybe I'll just kind of pick a random episode because
honestly, it builds and builds. It's worth sort of like following. It's a series with a story to it in every in every season, so it's worth sticking with, and it may well be something to introduce your children to, or some of them.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm always willing to give something a go, but yeah, I mean, Halloween Eve, if I'm going to watch something, I'll find something, because Buffy started out as kind of like serialized, or so to speak, and then the overarching storyline just came after the fact or something like that.
Kind of had. I mean, it's just Joss Whedon, so it's kind of had the serialized kind of
right
story arcs from the start, I would imagine.
Okay. So, Dungeon Crawl Classics. If you're looking, if you don't need to go out and get a new game or want a new game, and you're looking for a horror scenario with something that you're comfortable with, the DCC little horror line, they've got about 10 of them or so that are out. But yeah, so yeah, Vaesen, obviously another one. There's and there's not too many like that. I do like that, where the horror is not hunting you down. The horror is you having the audacity to go explore it and expose it, and then try to shut it down. These forces of nature, and then you have to, you end up reaping the rewards of them saying, no, we're not going anywhere. And I've had some fun playing it. It's definitely an enjoyable game. I wish we could, I wish I was able to play it more. But with the current Vaesen, well, Matt knows him. I was running Vaesen for Darren, his fiance, and another person from the store, and unfortunately, everyone just kind of fell out. So haven't been able to pick the Vaesen game up anytime soon. But hopefully someday.
Let's be honest. Games at the store just kind of fell out.
Yeah, exactly.
and it's sad too. So
Yeah,
Well, that sucks.
yeah. Well,
yeah,
go ahead.
I actually I have a guy. I don't know if you know him, Scott Roan. But he just hit me up, and we were talking about maybe running a Conan game or some other game at the store on a Monday or Tuesday.
And I offered up to you, hopefully if I can get into, free up some, little spare time Mondays or Tuesdays again to do some one shots to actually, get some of these games that we have and at least try them, get them in a bit of a rotation and play them. Cause that's a bit of the curse of the quote unquote collector / permanent GM, so to speak, is you have all these wonderful games, but you just don't have any time, or you're stuck playing one particular game, and they sit there and they scowl at you and they judge you late at night when they leave their shelves and just stare at you at the end of your bed. At least that's my
Scott, what happens at the bottom of that rum bottle, man? Tell you what,
I haven't had any, but this one, no, I'm keeping myself good. I had a bit of a tear on Saturday, so I think I'm going to be taking it relatively easy. What is for our drinkers out there? What is that?
This is mead.
So
mead.
Yeah. And this one it's Nordic honey wine with sour apple juice, hops, and cinnamon added, and it tastes like Christmas.
Oh.
Like you open the bottle up, and the whole reason that I got this bottle, and I love this mead anyway, but the wife's all, I need 2 more bottles for decorations. So drink up.
Oh, gee, shucks darn.
So you say it sounds like Christmas. So a bit of disappointment and regret.
Yes, and
perfect for Halloween
that, you try to avoid.
Yeah, that's how it ends up. It tastes like Christmas, which is which is hope and love and Santa Claus and all that, but the next morning, that's the regret and I didn't get what I want and and other things.
So I'm going to throw in a couple of classics.
Okay.
Another for horror, role playing, of course. Games that can do that, of course, Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay. Yep.
Because let's not ignore it, because there's Curse of Strahd or I6 Ravenloft is the classic when it comes to horror. It's still, if you want to do the grand gothic adventure, it's still the benchmark. But earlier in the chat, Anthony mentioned the Scooby game. There's a Scooby-Doo scenario for D&D.
What? Go on.
Isn't 5e all Scooby-Doo?
Well, arguably, it's called A Night of Fright, and it's a haunted house scenario. And the best thing is that you do get to play Scooby, and he's a gnoll.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Huh. I mean,
I got nothing for that. I'm sorry. I got nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It's one of those things where I want to see it on paper, and see how it goes. But
yeah.
Then it's the mystery cart, not the mystery mobile.
Yes, the mystery cart, mystery wagon. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is Scooby-Doo repackaged. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, obviously, go on, Pookie. Sorry.
Basically Fred is a paladin and so on. Just recasting the characters as classes. It's cheesy as hell, but sometimes you want that on for Halloween.
Yeah, but a lot of horror games can be cheesy as hell.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, let's face it. I mean, just like the movies, they can be as cheesy as you wanna make it, and the games can too. So
yeah. So
there's nothing wrong with a good cheesy horror game. Sometimes you just need it. Got to have a little fun with it. Doesn't have to be all serious and removal of body parts and mind bending.
Good hammer horror, type curveball that you can throw for that. Where it says
sure, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, if you want the hammer horror kind of style, it came from Beyond the Grave, from Onyx Path Publishing, and also its American counterpart. It came from Beneath the Sea. Both fun books doing that kind of tongue-in-cheek movie horror on different variations upon the genre.
So, what about Unknown Armies then?
Oh, I have that too.
Yeah,
I keep I keep lingering like out there. I want to get the what is it, the third edition of it or whatever. I want to pick it up. I'm interested in it. I've listened to a podcast VOD of an actual play that was super highly produced, and it's really, really good and immersive. And I'm like, I love what it does. But I don't know. I mean, so
what's the
Pookie, have you reviewed it?
I have not reviewed it. I have it sat there in the big pile of things to review. And it's one of the bigger books I have to review. Because it's in 3 parts. It's a huge volume. It's really is its own thing, and a very different take upon a horror role playing, esoteric, magical underground, just pushing how far you are willing to go for power and the consequences, to prove that you embody particular aspects of magic.
Gotcha. So Matt, you said you have it, right?
I do. It's I have a footlocker. It's in the garage. It's full of games that survived the Great Purge of the 90s. And I think Unknown Armies is in there. That and All Flesh Must Be Eaten is in there. But I haven't looked at that footlocker in 20 years.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. It's one of those where I went out looking in that for a particular book that I have, and it wasn't in there, and then I panicked. Scott knows the book I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, Dune. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a relief when you found it.
Oh, it was. Oh my God. Yeah.
What about Keith? You might be familiar with this one. Yes, that one. It's amazing how Pookie does that. I know his life. I know his library extends out of that room, but you can almost say a game, and he just just magically appears out of some orifice. I mean, part of the shelf. What about let's see? What about Never Going Home? The World War II kind of a cult horror game.
I'm intrigued by it.
Yeah.
I have yet to pick it up. I have thumbed through it at my buddy's little game store, and I'm intrigued by. I love military history, and I love the fact that you're getting down and dirty, in the trenches, World War I, but with this twisted, kind of. I'm going to call it like a zombicide type situation, post-apocalyptic, kind of all these different tropes all smashed together.
Right.
So I love the concept. I like the idea of the poker deck being used to adjudicate everything. And I got to listen at Gen Con when we were there, I got to listen to the company, give it spiel to myself and to some other folks. And it's got a lot going for it. I haven't ventured into it yet.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it from the same company as Jiangxi?
Same publisher, but not the same writing team. I think that company is just a distributor in the US for Jiangxi. But yeah,
Wet Ink Games.
That is correct.
Never Going Home. They're the ones who publish Into the Weird and Wild, which is another not horror related, but kinda. But it's an excellent addition to your OSR, campaign to add a little bit of a.
They have a small product library, but the World War I line is rather extensive because I think that is their flagship game.
Right. So we're going on about it. I'm sorry, Pookie. Go ahead. Please.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean, Jiangxi is one I'd like to play because it's dealing with 2 kinds of horror there. You're dealing with the hopping vampires by night, and then the social horror by day, and I think that presents interesting role playing challenges.
For anyone who's worked in the food industry, whether it be family related or just as a job, the horror of being not just in the food industry, but most especially that, but service industry, period. Making people, complete strangers as happy as you can, while secretly inside you just want to stab them through the eye with your pen.
That's my job every day.
There you go, Matt. You need to make something like Jiangxi related, but instead of at a restaurant, it's at a car dealership. You know, by day you're a car salesman. By night you're fighting some sort of horrors around the
the maintenance guys in the back not doing their job.
So well, we're going on about an hour 15 here, and I know Matt's got to head off to get some stuff ready for Halloween. But before we go, let's get each one's recommendation for something to watch on Halloween. You know, if you have like a comfort movie, if there's a new series, you know, what's something that you know, when it's all said and done, you're ready to just sit down on the sofa, you know, with the 4 or 5 candies that you stole from your kids, that that you're just ready to watch something good. Let's start with Matt, since he got a bit excited.
You got excited.
So we always watch the same movies, and we go on an Evil Dead marathon, and then when we can, we try to fit in Bubba Hotep. So, but Evil Dead 1, then Evil Dead 2. Tonight we're watching, because we watched Evil Dead on Friday, Saturday, and then Evil Dead 2 last night. Tonight is going to be Army of Darkness. Nice. But those movies, I don't know why. Mm-hmm. I was telling the wife, I said, "Oh, my father hated these style of movies, but me, I love them." So, but I'm more into campy Halloween than I am into like super scary, spooky, or violent Halloween.
Yeah,
Halloween should be fun and stupid.
Mm-hmm. So, are you a fan of the new Ash versus the Evil Dead series that came out a bit ago?
I was for the first half of it, and then unfortunately, like once they showed once they really got into like the lore of the Kandarian demon and all of that, it sort of lost that mystery of there's just something about, knowing that the cameraman is basically just shaking the camera across the ground while making, these ungodly noises. And it just, the low budget of how the movie was made was amazing. And then it didn't fit the high production value of the show.
Right. Yeah.
Plus, I also like the ending in Army of Darkness, where Ash goes too far into the future and ends up in post-apocalypse.
That's a great one.
Yeah, because there's 3 endings.
I wasn't aware there was 3 separate endings.
Mm-hmm. There's one where he stays in the past. Then there's one where he ends up back at S-Mart. And then there's one where he goes way too far into post-apocalypse.
Well, I need to look that up on YouTube and see all of them.
It's kind of like, does everybody know the real ending to Little Shop of Horrors?
No, what's that?
The real ending is that Seymour gets eaten and the plants take over the planet. And the final shot, the final shot is you have a bunch of the Audrey 2s like climbing over like the Statue of Liberty. It's about 15 minutes longer. So the whole fight and you could look it up on YouTube. I highly recommend that you do. The fight happens in the flower shop. Seymour loses. Seymour gets eaten, and then the marketing department basically gives plants to the entire world, and then eventually the entire world is taken over by the plants. But the final shot is and it's so B movie, it's so like Grindhouse, is that an Audrey 2 breaks through the screen, the movie theater screen, and starts terrorizing the people in the movie theater.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
I mean, that's something I was going to say. That was something that's something that happened in Gremlins 2, the movie. And I used to work as a projectionist, and I was showing that when it came out, and I would get people coming. There would be complaints about people going, "The film's broken," because literally it would break, and that was part of the film, because they would break into a cinema and basically destroy what was being shown on screen.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
What about you? What about you, Pookie? What would be a go-to movie for the horror season for you?
probably if I was between myself and Louise, my partner, it would be something like Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay.
That kind of fun horror, campy, silly, or Beetlejuice.
Ah, yes.
Beetlejuice is a classic.
Yeah. So Beetlejuice.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the fun of it.
Okay.
But if I wanted to watch some horror myself, I would probably delve back into Doctor Who.
Okay.
In its modern incarnation, there have been a few horror episodes, most obviously with Blink and the Weeping Angels, that just come for you, when you blink.
Mm-hmm.
They're really horrifying. But you go back into the mid-70s with the Tom Baker era, and there are some classic, fantastic, gothic stories. Image of the Fendal, Talons of Wang Shang is a great hammer horror story. Giant rats in the sewers, implacable Chinese magician, strange pygmy pig marionette assassin. You've got Brains of Morbius, which is basically Frankenstein in space. And over again, the sort of like the Tom Baker era would draw from the gothic stories and really imagine them anew.
Excellent. Yeah, there's a lot of good things, and really ones that can mess with you in a variety of different incarnations of Doctor Who.
Image of the Fendal is really, really creepy.
What about you, Keith?
Now more shit to watch.
Yeah, well, yeah. Welcome to my world. At least you don't have to watch Buffy.
No, I'm not going to watch Buffy. I would throw out. I'm not a big movie maniac. Mm-hmm. That's my wife. That's her jam. However, I've gotten sucked into, as of late, Guillermo. God, I can't even talk. Del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix. I got sucked into that. I know I'm seeing some mixed reviews out there. Some people love it. Some people hate it. I don't care what people say. I'm enjoying it. It's got just enough creepy factor. And most of the episodes I've seen, I think 3 or 4 now. I'm only about halfway through. But it really kind of embodies the season without, being too campy. I do like campy stuff, but not. It's not silly,
right?
But it's not like super gory grindhouse, Hills Have Eyes kind of stuff either. It's kind of somewhere in the middle, suspenseful, some jump scare, but each episode is independent unto itself too. So
right,
I'm enjoying it. So I would definitely recommend that.
So I'm kind of in the Madhouse. I do like my really. Is
that a series of movies? The Madhouse.
The Madhouse, yeah.
Is that like Grindhouse style?
Yeah.
Okay.
Matt used to
just
be
a lot dirtier.
Yeah, Matt used to be little unknown fact here. Matt used to be a public access guy, like Count Vlad or whatever, hosting his own B movie roles on Channel 12. Back
not even 80s. Good enough to be 11. Wow.
And then at night I'd be on the very end of the dial talking about like UFOs and like weird stuff at midnight.
And then Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Night Flight would come on after that, and we get to watch our videos because we were too poor to own MTV. But I'm kind of in his house. I mean, I do love my variety of different horror movies, but Halloween is a bit of a camp. It should be fun. It doesn't mean that it has to be silly. As much as I enjoy things like the Addams Family, and the Addams Family is a good kind of younger kid watch for Halloween. That's kind of a go-to one. But right now, my kids are old enough to appreciate what I consider to be one of it that has a nice mixture of gore and camp in the vein of the Evil Dead, and that's Peter Jackson's Dead Alive or Brain Dead, that is known elsewhere than the States, and it is, I mean, for those who aren't familiar with it, just fantastic. The effects, the lawnmower scene, just the whole shebang is just, and it's not Halloween themed, but it's just a tear from beginning to end of just this wonderful amount of just cheesy gore, kind of bad acting, and just you watch this and you go, this is the guy that won an Oscar for making the Return of the King. It's just superb. And then with that would roll in with other things like House, Troll 2, the Ghoulies, these kind of 80s cheesy, movies that use traditional effects to a certain degree, but just has an appreciation, because that was around the time where, we're all around the same age, where I was able to get my own rental card from the VHS store. And that's where we would grab, all these things that we weren't allowed to watch, and just get a stack of, ridiculous horror movies on top of, what's the one movie where they had real death on it?
Faces of Death.
Faces of Death. So we would grab some horror movies, Faces of Death, and just watch it after school because we were latchkey kids, and just really tear into these things. So I'm sorry, Pookie, you were going to say something.
I'm going to say the line is, "I kick ass for the Lord."
Oh boy,
I was 7 or 8 the first time I watched the original Poltergeist.
Oh yeah.
I was staying over at my buddy Dan's place, and we watched it, and then it was a particularly windy night in Mission Viejo with the trees out, and I don't think I slept for a week.
Oh,
so yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
Yeah, because we lived in a quote unquote planned community that looked almost identical to it also. So it's just really freak. You either were the kids who grew up in the Poltergeist neighborhood or the ET neighborhood out here in Southern California. It never was one and the same though.
So before we wrap up this, because I know we're going to wrap it up here momentarily.
Yep.
I do want to throw out one podcast for those that do have an inkling for listening to podcasts. If you want something that's creepy as shit, it's a new podcast. It just came out, and they're not sponsors or anything, but from Danny Robbins, called The Witch Farm. Episode 3 just launched today. And Danny Robbins does some really great investigative stroke dramatic podcasts. I don't know if you've listened to him, Scott or Matt or Pookie, but he did the Battersea Poltergeist a couple of years back, and he's got a regular ongoing series called Uncanny, where he investigates and he's a skeptic, mind you, but he investigates ghost sightings and UFOs and things like that. But his new series, The Witch Farm, dropped 3 weeks ago, and it will make the hairs on your arm stand up, the back of your neck. It's creepy as shit. It's about the most haunted house in all of England, in Wales. It exists in Wales. Pookie?
Wales isn't in England.
I am telling you how it's billed. That is how the podcast is billed.
It's in Wales, but the creepiest house in England.
I'm just telling you that's how it was pitched. So when they were doing the promos for it, so don't shoot the messenger. But it is like fantastic.
Saying that all of California is Hollywood.
Yeah,
that is true too. Right? It is all. But it is hands down worth listening to. So I did want to throw that out there. So
very cool.
Well worth your time. They're not very long episodes. Great stuff.
Okay. And it's BBC, so it's going to be really well put together. So
oh my God, yeah, is it ever?
Yeah, the link I grabbed just to show it. I mean, even just the presentation of the podcast page itself is far superior than a lot of other things. So, all right, well. There we go. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Pookie, for taking the time to come on here. We just kind of did this for fun, just to do something. But
I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you. So it's last minute. There's probably a whole bunch of background noise and stuff like that. But I do appreciate you letting me come on.
Oh, absolutely.
if there's any final words from me, it would be dead men tell no tales.
Nice. And we definitely need to get you on to the OrcusDorkus YouTube page when your Hyperborea game arrives, so we can do a dual unboxing and appreciate what's inside at the same time. So looking forward to that. And Pookie, do you have anything you want to say or plug in closing before we call it a podcast?
No, I mean, I think I've already plugged my Miskatonic repository reviews today.
Yeah.
150th one today. But I'm going to say, so like Matt, thank you very much for inviting me on.
Mm-hmm.
It's been fun.
Okay. And we're forgetting someone here. Our special co-host, I would like to say a healthy oink to Titterpig for showing up. And it would have been nice. It would have been nice if you put a little blood on there, but I think Janelle would have had a hissy fit if you would have, dressed up Titterpig. So,
Titterpig would we had a late arrival in the chat to our buddy down under, Blake. So Blake Titterpig says hi.
Yes. Oh, and Debbie's still in there. Debbie, just so you know, I did get a haircut because I got tired of you yelling at me. So please give this particular podcast 5 stars for the haircut. I'm no longer a dirty hippie, as you called me. So.
Okay. So on that happy little laugh, and my jaw now really, really hurts.
That's right.
Let's take it out of here. So again, everybody, thanks for tuning in,
Mm-hmm.
Hanging out with us, listening to us talk about games, movies, the good, the bad, the Palladium of all things. Yeah. One thing.
Yes. Next, and look forward to our interview with Kevin Sambita coming soon.
Don't invite me on.
We're gonna have a round table. Pookie, you're gonna chair it. So
right.
You know what's funny is if you invited him,
mm-hmm.
I almost guarantee you he would say yes.
Good. And since you know him, we'll have you on then to help out with that, and we'll put Pookie in the chat. Well, actually, we'll ban him from the chat for that episode. All right, Keith, sorry, take us out.
All right. Anyways, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening, commenting in the chat. We appreciate all the interaction.
Mm-hmm.
So until the next time or the next episode, we'll see you then.
Yep.
Bye, guys.